Is Nike stock a buy after Q3 earnings? I'm going to answer that question in this video, as well as provide an overview of Nike's third quarter earnings results. So let's get into the details from the earnings, and then I'll answer the question if it's a buy at the end of the video. Let's get right into it. So Nike's revenue increased by 14% in the third quarter to 12.4 billion. Earnings per share, however, of 79 cents was a decrease of 9% from the same quarter the prior year. The big reason for the decrease in the earnings per share was a lot of discounts and promotions, which I'll talk more about down later in the video. The next part, Nike direct sales of 5.3 billion was up 17% year over year. This is impressive. This might be the most important figure that came out of Nike's third quarter earnings results, and I'll tell you why. So, for the past 5 years, what Nike's been trying to do, and not trying really, they've been doing it, is trying to cut out the third party middleman. So, Nike has many partners that sell Nike's products, right? You think of Macy's, you think of Foot Locker. These are all places where you can buy Nike's products at. But when Nike sells you something through one of those partners, Nike's product margins are lower. That's because it needs to sell its products to Macy's, to Foot Locker at wholesale prices rather than retail prices. That way, Macy's can make a profit of its own when it sells to its customers, right? So what Nike's been trying to do is, instead of going through Macy's to sell you its product, is just to come direct to you, just to sell it right to you, and in that way it can reap the full benefit of the retail price and capture the full profit margin, right? And so Nike Direct is a representation of that. It's the app, it's the website, it's the Nike Direct stores that they've been opening up. And in that way, they've been increasing their profit margins and connecting straight to their consumers. And not only increasing profit margins, but it helps the business in other ways too. They get more information about their consumers when they're dealing directly with them. They get more of an idea of what products are they buying, what products are they looking for, what products are they clicking on in the website, what products are they adding on into their carts, what products are they reading the reviews about. All of those things help Nike give it more information to make decisions in, how many of this color should we produce, how many of this size should we produce. All of those little things add up to make a big difference in the business. And so it's great news if you're a long-term Nike investor to see direct sales jumping as much as it is, jumping more than the overall sales of the company. Now, let's get to gross profit margin, which decreased by 330 basis points down to 43.3%. Now, this is a result of Nike needing to offer discounts, promotions, and clearance prices because it built up too much inventory because of the pandemic, right? The pandemic was really difficult for Nike to manage. At first, they experienced a significant shortage, right? People had stimulus checks and they wanted to go out and spend, and they had fewer places to spend, and Nike was a beneficiary of that, right? But at the same time, Nike faced supply chain shortages. Its manufacturing facilities were shut down for a brief period due to COVID outbreaks and several other factors that constrained its supply. So what Nike said is, okay, let's over invest in inventory. That way we have more than enough of what customers are looking for. That way we won't have any more shortages. And just as it over invested in inventory, that's when economies started reopening and consumer spending shifted rapidly to the kinds of things they were buying during the pandemic, which was clothing and streaming content and TVs and electronics. And then it shifted to spending on things away from home, like restaurants and bars and travel and theme parks and concerts and those types of things. So then Nike was stuck with all this extra inventory that it risked going out of season, out of fashion, that it now needs to sell through before it becomes really, really discounted and really, really out of style, right? So that's why the gross profit margin decreased. That's why it needed to offer a lot of those discounts. That's also why earnings per share decreased by 10%, despite the fact that revenue increased by 14%. You won't usually see that for Nike. If Nike's revenue increases by 14%, the typical increase in earnings per share would be like 25% or something in that range. But in this quarter, because of those significant discounts, their earnings per share actually decreased despite double-digit increases in revenue. So knowing that about Nike, one of the things I wanted to check on was their inventory level. And so as of February 28, they had $8.9 billion in inventory. This was up 16% from the same quarter last year. So inventory levels are still really high. They're still going to need to offer these discounts and promotions to get through this inventory, and it might persist for another quarter, at least maybe 2 to 4 quarters before Nike balances its inventory with consumer demand, right? The good news for Nike is that consumer demand is still strong. It's still robust, right? 14% revenue growth for 12.4 billion in sales. So consumer demand is strong for Nike's products. That's really good news. Surprisingly, this was a downside in this quarter's report. Sales in Greater China were down 8% year over year. So you're looking at its most recent quarter, which ended in February. So it included February, it included January, and it included December. The Chinese economy started reopening from lockdowns, like let's say January, right? So I was hoping to see a rebound in Nike sales in Greater China starting January and February, and to see an increase year over year in sales in Greater China. I didn't see that yet in this quarter. You notice sales in Greater China down 8% year over year. Hopefully next quarter would be better. So next quarter will be March, April, and May. Hopefully Nike will experience a bigger tailwind from the economic reopening in China. Because I know a lot of investors are counting on that tailwind. They're counting on that factor because Chinese sales in the Chinese economy from Nike's products have been extremely low. They've been the only region that have been negative. And with the economy reopening, a lot of investors are counting on the fact that the sales in that region are going to rebound. So if it doesn't, that's going to be a big downside for Nike stock in the near term. All right, so to answer the question, is Nike stock a buy after these earnings results? I also wanted to show you Nike's price to earnings ratio, this chart down here, the forward PE. Nike stock is trading at a forward PE of 38.34. It's on the expensive side for this stock, going back several years. Um, I'm not enthusiastic about paying this valuation for Nike stock right now with the headwinds that it's facing, um, with the elevated inventory level, with the discounts it needs to offer to get that, and then with the uncertainty around sales in the China region. So those two big question marks right now it's facing, I wouldn't want to pay a premium valuation for it. Um, when it's still unclear how those are going to resolve. I like the fact that the Nike direct sales is growing robustly. I like sales growing double digits. It's an incredible brand, incredible long-term prospects. Although I would wait for a pullback. I would wait for a pullback in the share price before buying Nike stock, or I would wait one more quarter and let us get the results from the inventory level and the sales in Greater China next quarter. And if those show significant improvements, then we could go ahead and get more bullish around Nike stock. But for now, I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now. For now, I would say Nike stock is not a buy. If you own it, I wouldn't say it's time to sell it. I wouldn't say it's a sell. I would say it's just, hold off on it. If you already own it, you could hold it. If you're thinking about buying it, I would wait at least one more quarter. All right, and as usual, I'll update you on any news surrounding Nike stock. All right, that's all I've got for this video. I've hand selected a few videos that I think you'll enjoy. That's popping up on your screen right now, so please click on one of those and I'll see you over there. Thank you for watching.